Black History Month is almost coming to a close, and as we learn about Black history in Kansas City, we have to listen to the voices of people who were there.
For example, three sisters who grew up in Parkville. KSHB 41 News senior reporter Ray Daniel shares their story of faith, family, and perseverance.
Like notes in a song.
My mother insisted all three of us had piano lessons, all three of us.
The lives of these sisters weave together to form a melody. Miss Alkarma, Miss Lucille, and Miss Cora. Together, an anthem made up of shared memories like the smell of their mother's gingerbread.
You could be outside playing and you get a whiff of that and you knew Mama was making gingerbread.
They were born in the 1940s, a time when segregation was a shared experience for the Black community.
There are only 3 streets that connect to what was the segregated Black community.
Late one evening, the white elite of Parkville, leaders of Parkville, came and visited my dad and told him to stop telling the ends how to vote. But they said their piece and then they left. Everybody came to my dad to ask him how to vote. Everybody.
The meetings that were being held in the Black community were about getting indoor toilets in our schools, where we had to walk over to the hillside quite a ways.
Their legacy intertwined in Parkville's history, including Banneker Elementary, the historic African-American schoolhouse where their mother taught.
Cora and I were part of the last class when they closed the Banneker School.
And this historic church they grew up in, Washington Chapel, C.M.E, was built in 1907 by former slaves and college students.
We stand on their shoulders.
Today, these sisters make sure that history is never forgotten through events, education, and conversation. Always remembering the lyrics that remind them of their ancestors and their legacy.
We are benefiting from their hard work, and the vision God gave them at this church on this hill will be known, and people will be worshiping here for another 100 years.
So yeah, they had, I mean, we talked for about just under 2 hours.
I would bet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Stories for days. Miss Alkarma, also known as Miss Pearl, the oldest, she was actually sitting in the middle. She shared how she remembers how schools were integrated. She was a freshman at Parkville High School when that happened. She said a huge shout out to the superintendent at the time, who had a conversation with her dad, who was also an educator.
Yes.
Just kind of laying everything out, making sure that, like, hey, she's going to be safe. It is going to be okay. She said she didn't experience any families protesting outside of the school, but there were incidents that happened of bullying and stuff like that, and the sports teams were still segregated. So as you can imagine, so many stories. Of course, I couldn't put it into a 2-minute and 30-minute story, but you could just sit and talk to them for hours.
What a testament to who they are, to have lived through and seen some of the bad that they have seen, to be these shining women of light that they very clearly are.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So, and I want to smell a gingerbread too. I'm jealous of that too.
And that church, you've done stories on the renovation of that church before, right?
We've done a couple of stories over the course of some years, and if you all are interested in learning more about Washington Chapel C.M.E, they are working to preserve it and restore it, and
a lot of work going
into that. So that is available on our website, just talking about the Washington Chapel and the updates on that.
Great story, Ray.
Maybe
Thank
people who grew up in Parkville, like there are stories like that in Liberty that I didn't know until I found that you may not have known. This is something that really happened. History in Parkville too.